Hello and welcome to our fifth edition of Re-elect Donald Ramotar. I'm your host Romel Roopnarine, and we have another special guest in our program today. He's no other than Mr. Timothy Bhagwandin, and I'll tell you what, Timothy was one of the AFC youth activists, very vibrant young man in the last elections, and Timothy will be sharing his experience with us. He'll be telling us exactly why he is supporting the People's Progressive Party Civic as we head closer and closer to May 11, 2015. Welcome to the program today.
Yes, Romel, thanks for having me here.
Well, first of all, as a youth, in our conversations earlier, you related that the AFC obviously put out a policy in trying to attract youths the last elections.
Yes.
And you, after you saw, what they had, you became interested. So what happened from then to now? What were some of your experiences that soured the way that you perceive the AFC?
Well, first, you see, the AFC, they promise the youths a lot of things, right? But what I've noticed is that they haven't put forward a plan, right, to show where they would improve jobs for young people. And there's a lot of things more that went wrong. And the major thing that went wrong is they aligning themselves with the APNU, which they promised that they would have never done, right? So, and there's a lot more, plenty more.
Okay, now, obviously the AFC, they have championed the issue of youths, and we see that with their marriage now with the PNC equal APNU, they're still pushing the youths issue. But how would you have felt, watching them in Parliament with their one-seat majority? For instance, cutting funding for student loans at the University of Guyana, and you have traveled all across Guyana. You were very familiar with our hinterland community. You travel a lot to Region 9. Cutting funding in the Amerindian Development Fund for a lot of youths, thousands of Amerindian youths, be it in training, entrepreneurial, programs, development, other forms of development program, community empowerment initiatives. It must have been frustrating.
Well, yes, because the things that the PPP put forth that would create jobs for the youths, they went and cut everything. Everything they cut. Every single thing.
And what is the feedback? You would have been in Lethem quite often, other parts of Region 9. After this happened, after the opposition started to move in the direction they have, what was the reaction? What was the feedback you were getting from persons in the hinterland?
Well, a lot of persons they're talking a lot of things. The main thing is what I noticed is that the opposition they cut the budget for the hinterland projects. Things would have created jobs. They cut it. And here is Mr. Granger. He is going into the Region 9, mainly Region 9, and he's promising. But how can you promise things when you're not showing interest for the youths?
That's a very, very good observation. Now, as we head closer and closer to May 11, 2015, and bearing in mind the track record of the AFC and APNU in the last parliament, because one of the things they accuse us of is focusing on the 28 years that they were in government. But we're not going back there. We're focusing on the past 3 years in government, and the amount of money, the amount of projects that they cut that could have done so much, not just for youths, but for every single sector in Guyana. As we're heading closer and closer to May 11, what would be your advice to persons out there, specifically youths, based on your own experience?
Well, what I would tell the youths is that the manifesto for the PPP will be out on Saturday.
Yes.
Right? And in that manifesto, you'll see a lot of things which would include youths. Right? So I think it will be published online.
Yes, it will be widely publicized.
Right? I don't know if they'll put it in the news.
Yes, it will be in the media, it will be in the newspapers, it will be online. We will publish it, far and wide.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you mentioned something, you brought up the manifesto, and I'll tell you something that happened. I guess maybe you were on Facebook last night and you observed that the media, I think Demerara Waves carried an article that the AFC APNU coalition, they have finalized their manifesto and they have uploaded it and it's now available to be seen
Well, what you see,
online.
what they did, they took a lot of things from the PPP previous manifesto and put it into their own.
But that is not the funny thing. Let me tell you what happened. They announced that they finished the manifesto, they uploaded it, and within a few minutes, you had a response from the People's Progressive Party. Basically, it was the initial comments from former President Barra Jagdeo highlighting a lot of inconsistencies. One of the main one being that in the manifesto, they promise that within the first 100 days in government, they will come up with a plan for Guyana. Now, what is the purpose of the manifesto? The manifesto is supposed to be your plan for Guyana. So basically, you're telling us that you don't have a plan for Guyana right now, and when you get into government, right, you will come up with a plan, right? And the moment the president released that statement, the opposition went into retreat mode, and amazingly, they disassociated themselves with their own manifesto. They said that they know how the thing get out there, right? You shouldn't rely on that document, right? And it was interesting. It is very, very interesting because what it shows is that these people are confused. They do not know what they're about. And it must be frightening for someone like you to think that these people are the alternative to the PPC.
Well, all they do is keep promising and promising. They don't have a plan. They never put forward a genuine plan what they would do for Guyana. All they talk about is that they're going to jail this person, jail that person, fire this person, fire that. They don't have a genuine plan.
And you see that is the thing with youths such as yourself. You're not looking for the rhetoric. You're not looking at this man corrupt and that one is too nice and that one is staff bad and this one is not supposed to be a minister. You're not looking for that. You're looking for the heart, core policies. What are you gonna do? Because as a young man, you're a self-made man. You're a businessman, right? And you're still very young, right? You're looking to see what kind of concrete policies and programs could benefit yourself and youths out there. You're not looking for rhetoric and to fall for these distractions. You're looking for solid plans. And clearly you're not seeing that coming from the opposition.
Exactly.
Right now, another thing, and we will expose them a bit more to show how deceitful Mr. Granger and Mr. Nagamoto they are. After they withdraw their manifesto and they disassociated themselves from it, prior to that, about 1 hour before that, no less than their national candidate, James Bond, took to social media promoting the very manifesto they disassociated themselves from. And I have the screenshot on my phone, which we'll deal with at some point. Took to social media, said, read this. This is the full manifesto of our party, right? These are the plans that I'm so amazed with. This is what will transform this country. So here was James Bond saying and legitimizing this document. And then the moment that holes were being poked in the manifesto, the opposition ran now and said, that is not our manifesto. So who's lying? Is it Mr. Granger and Nagamoto, or is it James Bond? One of them have to be lying. Both of them can't be telling the truth. Somebody is lying there. And this deceitful nature, this deceitful behavior is what we have to guard against, because what is stopping them when they go into office? Because they make the broad promises. We're going to end all blackout. We're going to fix all roads. James Bond said, Guyanese will never go broke again, right? So lucky you, you and me will never go broke again in our lifetime. These are the ridiculous promises that unfortunately some misguided souls are falling for. And heaven forbid, those type of individuals are given yet another chance to manage the economy, because what they're showing is exactly, they are reminding, we don't have to remind people, they are reminding us of exactly why our country became from the one of the most developed in 1964 to the joint poorest with Haiti in 1992. And and clearly it is disturbing.
I think these people are very confused. They don't know what they're really about.
So now, what were some of your personal experiences though? Because I know you felt very hurt with the way that they would have they would have treated you. They would have they would have. You obviously worked very hard for the AFC last elections,
Mm.
and you were made to feel at least then that you were wanted. But then suddenly, the moment they got the one seat majority in the National Assembly, you and quite a number of your colleagues were treated with with contempt almost, right?
Well, during the last election period, I campaigned with them almost on the East Coast, the whole entire East Coast going way into Berbice, you know. We worked very hard during the coming close to the last election. My main focus was in Georgetown, around Kitty area, right? They had me, some other colleagues. We worked very, very late on election night. But the thing that really got us heated, this particular guy, Ruel Johnson, on social media, he take me off the, he took me out from the site just for expressing my views over the one seat majority that they had. You know, because they did a lot of things that they were not supposed to, and for expressing myself, they just take me off just like that.
So the boys them kicked you off of the AFC Facebook group simply because you questioned them.
Right, exactly.
And these are the people that project themselves as the champions of democracy. That these are the people, we will uphold democracy, right? And here you have it, when it is time for them to display that, you know what, we're not just talking the talk, we'll walk the walk.
Mm.
Imagine on social media, a little Facebook group, they behave like such. In fact, they're worse than Burnham.
But
And imagine what these people would do if they are thrust into any leadership position. If they're going to kick you off of the AFC's Facebook group simply for disagreeing with them because they broke some of the promises, imagine what they will do if that young man and those other like him in the opposition are put in positions of authority of this state, will do with you when you decide to disagree with them.
well, it was not only myself. A lot of youngsters expressed themselves, and they got the boot just like me.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And next thing is that uh,
You were mentioning that one of the things that also affected you was the opposition's penchant for misinformation. And obviously, it must be of concern because we would recall what happened at Congress Place when you had the Congress with Granger and the gunman, for instance. It must be troubling. You would recall when the gunman decided to behave like Clint Eastwood and shoot up the place and put everyone's life in danger. Ironically, Granger was the man that's saying that, you know what, we could secure you. And everybody was running for their lives at Congress Place. But that was interesting because he tried to he tried to shift the blame on the PVPC, making it seem like maybe this guy was a plant there,
mhm.
right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Lo and behold, when Moses and Granger decided to announce that they were in love and they were getting married on Valentine's Day at the Pegasus. Who did we see?
He was there. He was right there.
He was lifting Nagamutu's bridal gown going in, right? Very, very carefully. This very same gunman that Granger denied knowing of. And it must worry that if you're going to lie for something as simple as that, you're not going to take responsibility, then what else are you going to take responsibility for?
It was all over the social media, the picture showing the same gunman right there at the Savannah Street at the Pegasus, it was right there.
So, what do you think? Now, obviously, there are several other things that we could talk about that the opposition has failed to really take responsibility of, right? Apart from these things that affected you, what are some of the things you're looking forward for now as we move closer and closer to May 11 and after May 11 in a new PPP civic government? What are some of the things that you would like for us to focus on?
Well, I would like to see the PPP do more for the youths because the youths are the future, right? And I would like to send them a message that they cannot replace security with an insecure future, right? We know what's ahead of us, but with the opposition government, we're not sure what we will get, right? We don't want to go back in the past.
And I think there's a worrying thing because I mean we're already on a solid foundation, moving. We see ourselves moving.
Mm-hmm.
It must be worrying when the opposition is coming with all these airy-fairy plans, and this opposition really they're storytellers. They come with a once upon a time, and they lived Naga and Granger lived happily ever after. Now in this world, I've never ever come across, right, a fairy tale, right, that has a happy ending, right? Granger and Nagamoto wants us to believe that Guyana, clearly they're living in a fairy tale. They're not living in reality. And that is the worrying thing because when the PPC win on May 12th, we have to realize that these are the people that are going to go in the opposition. And if they're displaying the kind of irresponsibility that they are now and they have done in the past 3 years, we also have to be worried about what they will do on the opposition side, right? Because you mentioned that you want to see the youths, interest in development, interest in education, everything advance. But then, as I've pointed out before, at every single step of the way since 1992, and even before that in the first PPP government, we have always had an opposition that was anti-development, always trying to pull us back. And it was classic case in the last 3 years in the National Assembly. Before that, it was slow fire, more fire. After that, it was making Guyana ungovernable. Then we had the crime wave. Then we knew what happened in Linden Agricola. These things obviously would have affected us. But before we continue further with this topic, what I'd like to do is take a quick break. We go to this ad and then we'll be back.
Under the PPPC, government businesses have flourished and many jobs were created as a result. Now we look forward to a brighter future. Join me on May 11th. Let us get out and vote for President Donald Ramotar. He will ensure prosperity and success for all Ghanaians.
We are living the change. I trust President Donald Ramotar and the PPPC to keep delivering on the things that matter to me the most.
I am Young Guyana. You are Young Guyana. It is important for us to exercise our democratic rights and steer our future in a direction that is beneficial to us. Take my hand and unite with me this May 11th. Our choice, our voice, says Donald Ramotar for President.
President Donald Ramotar and the PPPC has created the environment for me to be financially stable at a young age. I trust them.
Welcome back. And just a reminder, you're looking at Re-elect Donald Ramotar. I'm your host, Romel Roopnarine, and my guest today on our fifth episode is former AFC youth activist Timothy Bhagwandin, who is now supporting the People's Progressive Party Civic, and he has been telling us why, he has been telling us some of his concerns, he's been telling us some of the plans that he would like to see implemented over the next 5 years. He's been telling us why is it you, the youths out there, should come out and vote for the People's Progressive Party Civic on May 11th. He's been telling you why you should come out and vote for President Donald Ramotar once again. He's been telling you why is it so important to ensure that your future is secured, and the only way you could do that is by voting for the PPPC. We're telling you that it is time, I'm going to use the opposition's slogan, it is time to put aside tribal differences. Because while the opposition go on the television and they project themselves as angels, quietly they spread the hate messages. And you would have been the victim, and some of your colleagues would have been the victims of that from the very AFC and APNU. They try to spread these divisive messages quietly, which obviously certain media house does not pick up on. And that is what we have to guard against. You should not fall for these tribal messaging that the opposition has been using very smartly out there. You should vote based on issues and policies. And if you do vote along that line, well then probably 99.99% of Guyanese will be voting for the PPPC, because as we just mentioned earlier, even the very own opposition, they have disowned their own manifesto, their plan for this country. So they are not confident in their own plan, they have disowned it. Are you confident in those people managing the affairs of your nation? They already have a track record, which they would not like us, and they do not like us to mention. And as President Ramotar has stated publicly, Mr. David Granger is probably the only historian in the world that does not want people to study the past. Historians are there to tell you about the past. David Granger is the only historian that does not want you to know anything about the past. So, back to you, Tim. We were talking about the divisive messages. And obviously that would have been one of the things that would have gotten to you over the past few years. It must be of some concern.
Well, you see, I was there at this special meeting where there was Moses Nagamutu giving the speech, and they said that the same APNU is the PNC, right? And they would never go and align themselves with the PNC. And look what they did today. Look at a simple principle is look at what they did. So there's a lot of things that they're confused about. Look at next thing at the hydro. They vote against the hydro. They said that hydro is a bad investment to Guyana. And look what they did in their manifesto. They said that they're going to revise it and build it.
And then they couldn't tell us what are they going to revise. Granger's already stated that he will build the hydro. So we lost about what? Close to 3 years. The hydro would have already been under construction, and within another few years we would have had the hydro project. Thanks to the opposition, we, the future, particularly the youths, have been robbed of that. We could have finished this project in another probably two and a half, 3 years. We would have had hydropower. Now we have, after the PPC wins this election, President Donald Ramotar is committed. He already has a partner that he will move before the end of this year. We will definitely start construction of that hydro.
We would also got the specialty hospital. It would have been up and running by now.
Again, the opposition has attacked that. They have attacked the very airport. They apparently want to continue seeing Guyanese coming out of the plane into the rain, pulling their luggage across the tarmac, and and being inconvenienced, right? And these are the things. Look at what happened with the Marriott Hotel. They fought against that Marriott Hotel all the way until its opening. You remember what happened there a few days ago.
There are over 100 employees there, Guyanese employees.
And they were fighting. They were saying, you know what? This hotel will not employ Guyanese. I'm glad you mentioned that. Guyanese, now over 100 Guyanese have found permanent employment there, and probably more than 100 more will be finding indirect employment, because obviously the farmers, the fishermen, you could think about it. Those vendors, they will be supplying to the hotel. They will be benefiting.
Exactly.
Right? So these are some of the ways, these are some of the plans. When you conceptualize plans, it's not just a building you're building, but it's the entire support structure that will make that investment viable. And everyone will benefit. The opposition, they don't, you see, the problem is they do not have vision. They cannot conceptualize. They cannot see where they want to take this country in another 5 years, another 20 years. How will they create employment? All they're doing will, and this is the most, any economist will tell you, it is the most foolish policy that you could. How is it you will reduce your revenue base, which the very money you have to use to do all the social services, build the roads and so forth. So you're going to reduce that by saying that, you know, you will cut tax and so. And then on the other hand, you will increase spending by end blackouts, increase wages across the board.
That means we're looking to run bankrupt.
And clearly within probably another year or so, the country would be bankrupt. But we are out of time on the program. I'm glad that we had this opportunity for you to express some of your thoughts. What I will do is probably give you 30 seconds to close up. One last message to the viewers out there.
Well, I would just like to tell mainly the youths, right, that the opposition, they do not have a plan. They never put forward a plan for Guyana, what they will do, not for the youths mainly, but for the older citizens too. They don't have a plan, right? And next thing, we cannot replace security, a secure future with an insecure future.
Excellent.
Right? So that's about it.
Well, Timothy, let me thank you once again. We've been talking a lot. I want to officially congratulate you for coming on board with the Progressive Force, the PVPC. I know that you feel at home here. You've been welcomed with open arms, and I just want to encourage all those of you out there who would have supported the opposition or entertaining thoughts of supporting the opposition. Come on board. We are here waiting for you with open arms. Come on Team Donald Ramotar if you want to secure your future. I'm your host, Romel Roopnarine. Thank you very much once again. Goodbye.